We'll go to item 4, and that's approval of the agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that, please? Melinda and Andy? Did you have your hand up, Andy, for that?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions? You had your hand up already, Mark. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I have two additions to the agenda, please. One would be for an unscheduled delegation that is permitted under Section 11 of the Procedures Bylaw, and that's for a Dr. Daniel Page, who's going to be speaking to us about the Procedures Bylaw. And the other amendment I'd like to introduce is that under Section 9, Bylaw 2410, that the Procedures Bylaw second reading occur, but that we defer the third reading of the Procedures Bylaw to another meeting. So in other words, separate the second and third reading. We can have second reading tonight, but we want third reading at a separate meeting going forward.
What does council think with regards to the unscheduled delegation? I'll start it off there. We often get these unscheduled delegations there. I should say we don't get them too often, but lately we've had them there, and you know, they've been introduced by yourself, Councillor Miller, and I don't think this rises to the occasion that it's an emergency, a time-sensitive issue. Mr. Page has had many. We've had contacts with regards to the minutes and so on like that, and that hasn't changed at all. I'm still talking. So the fact that you want an unscheduled delegation, I don't think that rises to you know, the criteria required for that. It's not an emergency there. It's not time sensitive. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you don't see this as time sensitive, when is it time sensitive? It's on the agenda this evening. It may be the last opportunity that citizens have to speak to this issue on the Procedures Bylaw. It meets all of the criteria that we've ever had in terms of a procedure for a council meeting. So if you throw him off the bus, you take his issue away, he'll never have a chance going forward to talk about the Procedures Bylaw. So I think you're making accusations to me once again right off the start that I've made these enormous amount of unscheduled delegations. Can you name one? Can you name one?
Janet Nyland. You did the same thing with Janet Nyland. You wanted an unscheduled delegation with her, I think twice.
It was pertinent to the agenda. What would be wrong with that?
Well, that's neither here nor there. You asked me and I told you that that's what you did.
And
so this one here, the unscheduled delegation there, this doesn't rise, in my opinion, to that. Mr. Page has talked often with regards to the issue there, and we've already heard several times with regards to that. So I don't think that rises. That's just my opinion. I'll throw it out to the rest of council before we vote. Andy?
Thank you. I suggested that we allow Mr. Page to speak for the reason that he didn't want to take the time for question period that other people might use, because his delegation is quite lengthy, his presentation, and he would like to ask us for that time that we allow him to speak to the council and the residents of this municipality. Thank you.
Melinda?
So Mr. Page came to the October meeting, right? October? October. A couple months ago. And Mr. Page talked, because the whole meeting was about the procedural bylaw, and majority of you were there, I do believe. Mr. Page had a few issues, and because there was no Zoom, so none of you could Zoom in. Mr. Page talked about our communications, freedom of expression, good governance. He talked about in our procedural bylaw that we should not have harassment free. That he talked about section 16 about banning or having a safe, secure environment instead of the word harassment. Mr. Page talked about our documents and our minutes and how our minutes were very vague. Right, Mr. Page?
Yeah.
He talked about 15.9, 15.10, the audio and visual, how he suggested that we should have a hot microphone. And then he came up again and he talked again about the function of notification. And then in 7, he talked about the important policy notifications concerning with the Planning Act. Did you not? You did? So I got it all?
Not all of it, no.
Well, I got majority. And then we received several emails. So I don't have those here. But thank you very much for all your information. I'm not sure what more you could add compared to what I have when everyone came and spoke that night. But that's where I'm sitting. I have documentation of who was there, who spoke, and an overall idea of what they talked about and the sections that I should look at for the procedural bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. We haven't heard from Deputy Mayor Fuel, if you want to comment. Otherwise, we can vote.
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate what Councillor Warren said. But having said that, I don't have a problem with the delegation for unscheduled. But I will say this is that we are going through the procedural bylaw, and based on that, they may be changes. So make sure whatever changes are made that we follow the rules, because this is what it's about, following the rules and having collaboration with everybody. So thank you.
Okay, then if we put it to a vote to allow Mr. Page for an emergency delegation before council, those that agree to that, to allowing him, show of hands. 4, and those are opposed. Myself, so it is carried. Where are we going to fit him in, Mr. Page, for that? After the 6:30 delegation?
Following the 6:30, correct.
Then we'll.
So I think there was 2 items to vote on. So I'll maybe just read out the agenda resolution for council to vote on in its entirety.
We can't hear you.
Be it resolved that the agenda be amended as follows. Add number 1, unscheduled delegation, Daniel Page, procedure bylaw, and number 2, bylaw 2410, third reading deferred.
May I show of hands, those in support? And then so carried. And the second one was 2410, separating them and only reading the.
That was part of the,
okay.
the whole resolution that I just read.
Okay. Then how is that? Are we voting for that?
So
no.
I can reread the agenda. Be it resolved. So there was 2 requested amendments to the agenda. Be it resolved that the agenda be amended as follows. Add number 1, unscheduled delegation, Daniel Page, procedure bylaw, and number 2, bylaw 2410, third reading deferred. So you're voting on the whole resolution.
Okay, then we are doing the second and third reading tonight.
With a request to.
Hey, I'm talking to council.
So we weren't voting separately on the unscheduled delegation and the third reading deferral. So that's all part of the agenda amendments.
Okay, so pardon me here. Like I don't see a reason why we're not voting on the third reading. 9.11.
Point of order. The resolution was put forward. It was voted on. It's set. I don't think we can revisit it. So if you don't understand it, she was very clear on what the resolution was. We voted very clearly. And I don't know why you can't just, Robert's Rules of Order, you can't just entertain it one more time,
nobody's
Mr.
saying,
Mayor.
I'm not trying to shortcut anything here at all. There's no, council has agreed, then we're going to do the third reading at another point, at another time. I don't see, I know we voted on it there. I don't know why we keep on delaying things through and through here.
Discussion's
You can't
over.
discuss your resolution that's passed.
I'm not discussing, I'm commenting.
You can't comment on it, Mr.
Yes,
Mayor?
I can. Sure, I can.
Okay,
We've
break
already
the rules.
voted. We've
You're
already
gonna break
voted
the
on it.
rules, I'm gonna break the rules.
We've already voted on it. So
Exactly.
I'm just at a loss why we keep on delaying
And
things.
voted, it's on, thank you. Move on, please.
So, yeah, it's just, maybe I was unclear that you were voting on both of those changes, so council can reconsider a vote at the same meeting if you all agree to reconsider it. So that's my only
I would
comment.
like, I'd like to try to
No,
do
they all
another
voted
vote
in
to try to
favor.
get our second and
Only
third
the
reading
people who
in
voted
together.
negatively can-
Was council fully aware that,
Yes.
I'm asking everybody, were you aware that we were going to separate the third reading, the second and third reading? We were doing the second tonight and then the third at another time. Glenn?
Yeah, so I wasn't clear on that. You're right. I was clear with the Daniel Page piece. I didn't realize we're
Hey,
doing
quiet,
the both
quiet.
the same as one resolution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was voting on the Daniel Page, and then we were going to do the second. We were going to do the second point there of the
Trying to keep
2410.
up.
So there's a complete mix up there. I think we have to do, in my opinion, doing the second and third reading. We shouldn't have had it read together because we hadn't yet, we did the one for Daniel Page, but we hadn't, that should have been handled separately.
He's never read Robert's Rules of Order.
Mr. Mayor,
He doesn't
So,
understand
Yeah, go ahead.
how.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
works.
You're trying to guide and steer it in a direction when a motion was already put forward and voted on. I think that's not only contrary to public procedure, but I think you're influencing other members of council that heard that same resolution that the CEO read out to us. So if they can't understand that resolution, then there's serious problems in this council.
Well, there was a miscommunication. It's evident there.
No.
People, just let me talk, please. There, so it shouldn't have been read together. And I'm not being critical here, but well, I am. We should have been voting on both at the same time. We did
Then you shouldn't
Mr.
have
Page.
accepted the motion.
Stop.
Excuse me,
Yes.
please don't interrupt.
I'm talking here. So the fact is that the second shouldn't have been read together. I'd like to have another vote on the bylaw and figure out how we can
I don't think you can.
vote on
Only those who voted
nine
negative can move
on
to
item
the
number
next.
9.
No,
I think we should refer to Robert's Rules of
no,
Order,
it's not.
and that is exactly what, as Mr. Mackey has said, only those who voted negative can re-entertain that. If you don't read Robert, do you know what Robert's Rules of Order?
Enough. You're not going to
No,
catch me on
don't
anything
deflect.
here.
Don't
That's
deflect.
enough.
Don't deflect. You know the
That's-
rules or you don't know the rules. You know, you started off the agenda, you didn't know where we were. So I'm going to ask you, do you know the rules or not? Or
No.
are you making the rules up as we go to
There's
make them?
nothing. I'm trying.
I'm speaking now, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. You gave me the floor, and I have 5 minutes. I won't take all 5 minutes, but I will tell you this: if you're going to steer this every single time, you wonder why I get dramatic and frustrated and upset. You wonder because you don't follow rules. Every other organization I'm in follows the rules. This council does not. Why are we seen in the paper and throughout the municipalities in Manitoba as some sort of a renegade, bizarre council? Just look at the audio. Look at the video. Because you're not following the rules.
Finished? Okay. No, there's a miscommunication here, and how we can do this by procedure, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to defer this to our CEO to how, in my opinion, we should be voting on 2 and 3. Well, and I'm going to ask our CEO where do we stand position-wise if we bring it to.
Well, as I mentioned in the Municipal Act, Section 139(1), a council may not consider or reverse the decision within 1 year after it is made unless A, at the same meeting at which the decision is made, all the members who voted are present, or B, a member gives written notice from one regular meeting to the next. So in this case, you're all present. Council may reconsider or reverse the decision.
Then that's what I'd like to try to do. I'd like to get some clarification, handle this on a vote separate there, because we're all here, or we could do it at another meeting there, but I think the whole idea is to try to get the second and third at the same time. I'm still talking there. So I think our option is we're all present here, so we can vote. Does that have to be unanimous as well?
I would just suggest you put forward a motion asking council to reconsider the vote on the agenda this evening.
Mark?
I was just going to say, Mr. Mayor, I'm sure you follow Parliament and the legislature as much as I do. So you would know why second and reading is pushed through in one meeting. It's to ensure that the public and the public interest isn't best represented. It's to ensure, to fast track, to push through legislation. And so if that's what our aim is to do, is to alienate, to muzzle, to quiet, to silence the public, you've got 2 stars, 2 A+. But I don't want any part of that. I think we should defer to a separate meeting where the people can again have an opportunity to reflect with us, share concerns with us, and for you to get a handle, I'll gift you for Christmas a Robert's Rules of Orders book.
You know, you're just being a comical fool right now. You're acting like a drama queen. This is simply something. Go ahead.
If that is decorum in this council, he's called, Madam CEO, he has called me names enough times. My wife has seen me so stressed, it's made me sick to my stomach because this mayor continues to lambaste, to make comments,
Did you not
to
just
bully.
Did you not just do a comment before that?
Did I call you a name?
You know, Mark.
No, I didn't,
enough.
Mr. Mayor. Because
You know,
you're your RCMP
Act
bully
like an
tactic.
adult. Act like an adult, okay? Now we'll do. There you go. You know, you're gonna wreck property there. You do it all the time. You throw things down. You get up out of your seat, then you walk out. Why don't you just sit down there and let me talk?
I don't like your rules. They're made up rules.
They're not made up rules. We're allowed to do that. They are not.
Your bylaw
So I
calls
think
for Roberts,
enough.
which is a subsidiary to
Enough.
the act.
No, it's just
Yes, it is. Mr.
this is just common sense and logic there.
We follow the municipal
we-
act before Robert's rules, just to clarify. Yes, Robert's rules is in the bylaw,
a
but we
guideline.
follow
It's
the
not
municipal
It
act.
is.
Come on.
It's just common sense and logic. If you act like adults, then we'll have
Adults by
that.
bullying the public?
You're the same way, Mark. Just before that, my response is in response to what you said. So don't start acting innocent here now. So I think we want to vote on this, and then it's my resolution
Shame.
putting forward that we vote separately on the matter there you want to discuss by separating the second and third reading. It was done in error, and then we'll have a proper vote on that. So no, it was.
No, it wasn't.
It was.
Because you didn't understand it, it's done in error.
It's not
every
me.
time, every vote
The
you're going to do, it's
deputy
because of
mayor
error.
is the same way. This should have been done separately. There was 2 resolutions. You should have let us know this in the beginning there as
Isn't
well.
it the CEO that did it?
So, it did what?
I didn't make the. I suggested.
Well, yes, no, I am critical there, but in a respectful manner. You know that the CEO shouldn't have done that.
Maybe she should be fired.
So this is no. I'm still talking here. So I think we should put it make a resolution with regards to having the second part of your additions to the agenda that shouldn't have been read together, and that's the one where we're going to separate the second and third reading.
Does he want to
So
have it
if we can
out?
get the resolution.
Well, there seems to be confusion, obviously, on what was being voted on the agenda. I've given my advice that if you want to reconsider or reverse the decision, I need a mover and seconder to put that forward and council can vote on it. If that resolution does not pass, then we proceed with the agenda as approved.
Okay, then I'll be the mover with regards to that. Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
Deputy Mayor. And if we can get please quiet, then we'll get the resolution read, and then we'll have a proper vote there, and then we'll allow that to go.
Be it resolved that council reconsider the vote on the approval of the agenda for December 17th, 2024.
Can I get a show of hands with regards to reviewing the agenda as read, the resolution as read? Those in support is Melinda, Glenn, and Patrick there. Those opposed? Mark and Andy? Now, do we do it separately with Daniel Page again? And then the second one there with the second and third reading?
Okay, so to clarify, you want a resolution on each item being proposed on the agenda?
I think Daniel Page is there. We had a 4-to-1 vote there, and that's what I was voting for. Or voting against, and it was majority
Somebody
rule.
has to move it.
There was more. We already did that. There's a majority of on that one there. So I think the second one will be the separate one with regards to Councillor Miller's, section 9, I believe it was, a 9.1 there with regards to reading the second. Voting on the second reading tonight, and then deferring it for the third reading at another date. I want to do all together as what we have on the agenda. Is that clear as mud?
Okay, so I have a resolution, be it resolved that council approve a non-scheduled delegation for Daniel Page for the procedure bylaw. And you want that voted on separately?
Yes.
If you're moving that?
Yes.
And a seconder? I just need a vote.
With regards to Mr. Page's emergency delegation there, can I get a show of hands of those in support? That'll be Melinda, Mark, Andy, and Glenn. Those opposed? That'll be myself, and it's so passed. The second resolution will be the one concerning the procedural bylaw 9.1. Where they're to be read together. We're doing them tonight.
Councillor Miller, do you want to move that resolution?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll make the motion that we defer third reading of bylaw 2410, the procedures bylaw, to a future council meeting.
Seconder?
Be it resolved that council defer third reading on bylaw 2410 to a future council meeting.
Those in support of the resolution as read? Mark and Andy? Those opposed?
Oh, boy. His hand gone up.
Those opposed? Melinda, Glenn, and Patrick? And it is defeated there.
Travesty.
Okay. Then could I get a show of hands? So we've already done the approval there? The right
So just one more resolution, just accepting the agenda with those amendments.
I got a show of hands accepting the agendas with the amendments there. Melinda, Glenn, and Patrick. Those opposed? Mark and Andy, so passed.